Hi, I'm the East Tennessee modern mountaineer, Pastor Sam. I'm out in one of my woods today, and I'll be going back and taking a survey of one of the prospective campsites I'm going to develop. So I'm just going to take you along for the walk, and I'm going to point out some things along the way that as a bushcrafter you might want to keep a hold of. And so I'm going to show you some of these things right off the bat. All right, I've got a little bridge here for crossing. And here I've got a natural stream. You can see back there, it kind of wise, so it comes from two different sources. So I got two sources of water here. We're just gonna walk along now. And I want to show you something. This here is a floodplain. It looks pretty flat, but by this creek, you can see how the grass is laid down, and it's laid down in a motion. And if you look, like right here, that's a hole, and there's just little pockmarked holes here. That tells me that there's been game through here, and I can tell from the tracks that it's deer. We've also got some wild edibles coming up right here. Now, some of these people call them leaps and ramps, whatever you want to call them, but these are wild garlic onions, and there's a lot of them here. And if you look, I've got a lot of stuff here that I can chew on. Now, I'm going to take you in a different direction, and I'm going to walk you back through my woods. This is real soft as I'm walking. So I know that this has been flooded with the recent rains. And you can see here, probably a squirrel digging around. This is one of my mud areas. It's real sandy, and I can kind of look at some different trails here. You got a dog track there. You got small deer. You got a large deer right here that came through. So, and then right here, I don't know if you can see this right here, the canine track. It's a small canine, so it was probably a fox. But we're going to keep moving. And you can probably tell that I have a little bit of an established trail right through here. And this is a trail that I've established, and it also game. You can see that the deer have been using this, and they've been going off. As you look right here, there's a game trail comes right through here and goes out and around, and it also crosses that little creek and goes that way. These are things you need to be aware of in your woods where your game trails intersect. I've actually got a stand off about 45 yards in that direction. I'm talking as I'm walking, so I don't think we'll probably see any game. They'll probably spook out before I get close to them. But we got a ridge on this side and got a small hill, and then on the back side, back over in there, there's another ridge. There's a couple little small knolls in between these two ridges. You can see right through here, there's kind of a bald spot. It ain't gonna come up real good. Right there it is. There's a bald spot right in there. And that was a scrape made last season by a deer, a buck. And I got him on camera, and there's another There's another one right here. That buck had used to mark his territory. He had a couple scrapes under that tree. And that tree has been revisited. It's good licking branches overhead. And if we look into the creek, and this is important, you'll start to see there's some rock down in this creek. And it's not all shale, so it's good to use as reflector fires. Now keep in mind, right now I just rose above the flood plain, but if you look at the grass down here, this grass is kind of laid over where it flooded down there. But up here, the grass is not running in a direction like the water would have run. So up here, it would actually be okay to camp right in this area. But this is not where I'm going to look at today. Got a nice little bent tree there that's come up. Native Americans used to tie trees over and bend them over and put weights on them to you'd use as markers. So we're just going to follow my trail. I hope you're enjoying this video, because I'll upload it to my survival class. Now I like this little area right here. I mean, if we look right here, there's a lot of little saplings. This is really good for bushcraft. These saplings here are kind of small, not very helpful, but there's a lot of them in here that are in that 2 to 4 inches in diameter. And you get a good view of the ridge now up above me. And there's deer that run that ridge. They also come down in this bottom. You see an old wooden stand I got there looking up over into the ridge. This area here has been primarily one of my good hunting areas. It's kind of a bottom, it's kind of open, and deer pass through here. I've shot several deer, harvested several deer right here. I actually sometimes have a stand depending on what the deer are giving me during the early season on their movements. A lot of times I'll put a stand up there on this hill. But we're going to continue on. We're kind of gonna, I have another stand back in this draw. This ridge kind of gets real steep, and steep ridge isn't a big deal for a deer, but it's kind of a big deal for me. So we're gonna cross this creek right here, and this is one of the things I want to keep in mind. You got to be careful when you're doing these creek crossings. You know, we're a little high right now. I don't want to get too wet, so I want to just be easing over. You know, and you can use these rocks. All right. A little mud gave way. Like I said, you got to be careful. Turn around, look here. You can use these rocks to kind of scoot out and walk on, but you have to be careful because they are slick. So we navigated that with only one little minor fall. But now we're on this side. And like I said, this is just one of those little hills that pop in between the ridges. You know, I've got a hatchet, I've got a saw. I'm not in the woods without weaponry. I have my 45. So there's plenty of things. And if you look, I want to show you something. This is a resource. See all those rocks? Those are great resources for around the camp. I also want to show you that there's a lot of timber here that's laying down. Timber that is broken, but not on the ground, is great for burning. Like little pieces like this. Call that squaw wood. Now, one thing you're going to notice, there's an absence of pine back here. Not very much pine, so there's not very much fat wood here. There's not a lot of resin that'll be available to get in the woods. So what you want to do is you want to make your own fat wood and bring it with you in your pack. That or char cloth, so that you can have an easy starting source. I'm just making my way. There's no real trail here. I usually don't cross there. I cross on further down and just head straight up the hill. I want to point a few things out. We do have some cedar trees here, and these cedars, they can be mistaken for pine trees, but they're not. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it, but right over there is a stand. And I don't think I'm going to pull it up on the video. It's like Bigfoot. You can see him with your naked eye, but when you go to film him, it's hard to get him on camera. It's just the camera doesn't see like we see, unfortunately. So, the top of this hill here is where I'm going to do my prospective analysis for a bug out camp. Now, I just showed you earlier that we have a camp back there. There's a camp that we passed earlier, I showed you, that is a good prospect for a camp. It's off the flood zone. It's semi-flat. It's not real flat, but it's flat enough that we could use it. So we're going to head up this hill, and I hope you can stay with me and endure the video, because the important part will be when we get to the top. This is a slight incline. Most people with marginal health would be able to handle it. Got a little deadfall, which I'm going to give you a turnaround view of it. You see, we got some structures in our way. We just have to step over. It's not a big deal. But up on the top of this hill, keep in mind, we are still nestled between two ridges. So we'll be somewhat protected from the wind. And being as it's kind of not exactly the easiest to get to, will help keep our camp from being obvious. See, it's not a real bad grade going down. We're near the top now. I'm only slightly breathing heavy. Okay, we've made it up to the top. This is our little area right here. Now my camp is going to fit into this area right here. I've got several little different options that I can use. I'll point out some of those options here. Right here's a good tree. And right beside it, another good tree. So as we pan back, stand back, those trees are together. I can build a lean-to, and the only thing I'm gonna have to clear out is little bitty saplings. Something, you know, you can't even hardly see them on the camera, that little sapling. And these little dudes. And I can build a lean-to this way. All right, so that's good. I also got 2 trees close together so I can build a lean-to out this way. Remember, in my bug out, I'm going to have anywhere from 6 to 10 people. So we've got a lean-to for 2 there. We've got a lean-to for 2 there. And we've got kind of a good area up here. I've got more area than I need that is flat. I can also do a lean-to. If I trim some of these branches, I can do a lean-to between that tree and this tree back in that direction. I'll have to do a little clean out, but that's not too bad. And if we look off about 35 yards, there's a field. Now I'm going to walk you over that field so we can get a view of what there is out there. We might actually see some game. That field has got a lot of game in it. So we'll look at me before we get to the field. Again, this is all flat up here. So, like I said, my camp's going to be about 35 yards off this field. Now, I no longer have permission from the landowner to go across this property line. But I'm going to show you. This is a pretty good sized field. The turkeys come out and strut in this field. The deer come out and graze in this field. And over there is the ridges I talked about going back in that direction. And it just keeps going down that way. This ridge just keeps going down that way. So as you get a look back into the camp, this is what we're looking at. We got a good hilltop area that is flat. We've got enough room, literally, to put a couple dozen people up here where it's flat. It'll be dry with only a little bit of work. And if you go off that edge, it goes down into another bottom. The deer run that bottom. Off that edge, deer run that one. So we're in a good spot. This is going to be a good camp. So this is one of my locations that I'm going to start developing for a bug out camp. So with that, turn around, give myself a little cameo time, and I'm going to start doing a little work, maybe clearing a little bit of stuff, and we'll see you again on YouTube real soon. For those of you in the RC Survival Prepper class, I hope you enjoy this video. Those of you will see it online. These are some of the things you look for in a bug out camp area. You want to be above the flood line. You want to be relatively flat, but you want to be in a safe position. I've got water on that side. I've got water on that side. So I've got water all around me. I got a property line border in the back of me, and that property line there is almost a mile to a road. So this farmer has just a bunch of acreage. And so I've got the property on the far side of me that is also accessible by permission, and then the property on the other side of that as well. So this is Pastor Sam, East Tennessee modern mountaineer, just giving you a little heads up on how to scout out your bug out camp. Be blessed. One last look. Good and flat. Got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of firewood right handy that we can use.